Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second Healers in Healthcare show for February. We had Katie Wood back at the beginning of the month, and we had Brian McElderry too on, and now we're ending February with a bang with Blair Thielemier, and I'm so excited to have her on today. And we were just doing we're going to do it together, a little energizer, which it reminds me of like a chicken or a rooster, but I am, just full disclosure, my husband woke me up super early. So maybe this is preparing me for kids and getting woken up at, early in the morning, but I'm a little bit like, right now. So we are going to just raise the energy, and Blair's going to come on and we're going to do the little chicken dance together to, to get the energy up. But yeah, I'm just so excited to feature Blair. I'm going to bring her on in a second. But what I always do at the beginning of the show is just, quickly introduce myself. There might be some new people in the Facebook group, whether you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. And let's get started. So I'm going to describe a little bit about the mission of the Healers in Healthcare show and the movement. We're going to go into an interview with Blair. And then I'm going to do a high-level training to wrap everything up today. So, hi everyone, my name is Dr. Christina Fontana. I'm a pharmacist, 5-time author, rapid transformation coach, and creator of the Healers in Healthcare movement. And really, this movement all started from a download that I had back in May of last year. And that was what created this book, this incredible book where I brought together 19 different pharmacists to show you what's possible when you move beyond the counter. And the download that came through for me was very clear. So for those of you who know me, I'm highly sensitive. I see, hear, feel, and know information from my intuition. So when I'm channeling and I'm, kind of really focused in with a client, I can see and feel both your blocks and your brilliance to help you to sustainably scale your profitable business. And so I use that, my intuition is my superpower, to, download my content and all of the things that want to come through me. And so when this book came through, the message and the vision that I had was to bring together all of these different women, these healers in healthcare, because I know that now is the time for healing. And we need to be empowering the healer in healthcare. That means you. Right? Every single person in this group is part of this movement because I know that you really want your patients to heal. You want them to, you're looking at the root causes, functional medicine, pharmacogenomics, all of these healing specialties that we're seeing over the last several years pop up. There is a reason why that's happening because our healthcare system is ready for it. And so my goal is to empower you to release blocks and fears that are holding you back, like the fear of failure, the fear of being seen, all of these different things that can really get in the way of you shining your light in the world. And so I work with both the transformation piece, and now I'm incorporating more of that nervous system work that I'm going to go into later on in the episode, along with strategy that will help you to sustainably scale. And so I brought together these incredible women. If you haven't picked this book up yet, make sure that you do. It is from my heart. It's for the person that is really desiring to elevate into entrepreneurship. You're desiring a change. You know that you're ready to unleash your healing abilities and to bring more light to this world. So with that said, who better than the ultimate healer that I know that I want to bring on today. So I want to just, I'm going to bring her on and then I'm going to introduce her. And this bio doesn't do you justice, but I'm going to read it. So welcome. I'm just going to quickly introduce you here. And so Blair Thielemier, I don't think really needs an introduction, but I'm going to read it, is a business development consultant specializing in pharmacist-led billing models. She consults on and produces e-learning programs for state and national organizations, pharmacy wholesalers, payers, and technology startups. She has books and online courses available for individuals looking to leverage their pharmacy knowledge into monetized clinical programs at pharmapreneuracademy.com. She speaks internationally about trends in leveraging pharmacists to improve value-based care. Love it. So expand on that. Tell us all about you.
Yeah, so, I think I got my start off really in traditional hospital pharmacy. Like many pharmacists, on paper, there's no reason that I should be considered a leader, right? I don't have a board certification. I didn't do a residency. I for a long time felt like I wasn't expert enough to lead this change and lead this movement in pharmacy towards value-based care. As I was studying more and more, and okay, how where are the shortcomings? Where are the shortfalls? We know that there are definitely shortfalls in our current healthcare system. One of the things I identified as an MTM consultant was I didn't feel like I was really getting to the root
Yeah,
of what was going on with my patients. So I felt like I was doing more of that. Oh, here's your diagnosis. Here's a bunch of tests. Here's a bunch of information. I'll see you again in a year.
yeah,
And that didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like healing medicine.
yeah. I love that you started off with just some of the things that pharmacists experience. Like, I don't know enough. I don't have letters after my name. I didn't do a residency. And look at all that you've built. So I want to highlight that because I think that there are a lot of us that, we're like, oh, well, I don't know enough or I didn't do enough. Right. And so what I love to really highlight is, okay, what do you already have? How long have you been a pharmacist? What are other unique gifts other than just certifications do you have that you can bring to the table that you can, I think one of the biggest things, Blair, that I think that we don't, traditional pharmacists maybe don't think about as far as a gift is empathy and really
Mm.
connecting with our patients. And I always say that is the greatest medicine that you can ever give someone is your love, your presence, your, being and holding space with them. So I love that you started off with that because I think number one, it hits on the point of, we think that we don't know enough, but also how you segued into, your work as an MTM pharmacist. You really saw that there wasn't enough time, or maybe it wasn't to the depth of healing that you really wanted. And so you saw that gap. And so tell me a little bit more about what you've been able to create because of that gap that you saw.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, even when you read my bio, I still get like imposter syndrome of like, did I really do that? Like, does that, you know, because it was so hard. I am a consultant. I live in a very small town in rural Arkansas, which is kind of redundant to say, but it's rural even for Arkansas. And I had so many reasons why I shouldn't be the person to lead this. I shouldn't be the one questioning the status quo in pharmacy, or even asking what does the advancement of pharmacy practice, what does the evolution of pharmacy practice look like? But I didn't hear anyone else that was having conversations about innovation.
Yeah,
And you mentioned, so my career as an MTM consultant, I enjoyed. It was the thing that really got me back into clinical service because at that time it was in a traditional dispensing role in the hospital. Even as a clinical pharmacist, I was still very focused on the medications. Personally, though, I was more interested in nutrition, in, lifestyle change,
yep,
in movement, in hydration. I was more interested in the health and wellness conversation because those were the things that I didn't know how to support in myself.
yeah,
So my journey really led me down this path of how can I be more supportive to my nervous system to shift into that, parasympathetic, to increase my vagal tone, to change some things when, after my son was born, my second child in 2017, he was born with a very deep sacral dimple. It was it was deep enough that the neonatologist, minutes after he was born, it says, I need to go take him to do an ultrasound. And this was my second child, so I knew that that wasn't routine.
Yeah.
And so Mama Bear came out like, whoa, 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 let me see this. What are you doing with my baby? And so they brought him over and they showed it to me. I said, oh yeah, that's the dust dimple. My daughter has that too. And they said, so she doesn't have any neurological problems, any, open neural tube issues? No, not at all. So it got me thinking, I was on fertility medicine to get pregnant with my first two.
Uh-huh.
So obviously I was on the prenatal vitamins, I was on the folic acid, I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do, and yet both of my children were born with this family, inherited thing. And something in me just goes, you know what? I think I ought to test myself. I ought to figure out what the root of this is. Now, I also have family history of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's
Hmm.
on both sides of my family. So what I discovered was I had this mutation, this methylation inability. And so the folic acid and stuff that I was using wasn't even working. When I tried to go to my OBGYN or my primary care provider, I was shut down.
Yeah.
So I really was left to figure this out on my own and kind of navigate. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, I take a methylated version of those vitamins now, and I'm healthy, but it's one of those things when I started looking into Parkinson's and I started seeing like the Bredeson's protocol and so many things that are connected to nutrition and the nervous system, I thought, wow, there's so much more that I could be doing personally. And then I go, to have these conversations with my clients. And I also say, wow, there's so much more that I could be sharing with them that could help them on their health journey. So that was really the
Yeah.
impetus of creating this longer term program.
I feel like as I'm hearing you talk about this, there's often, and everybody else can probably relate to, there's often, something within ourselves maybe that we go through. And I think it's almost an awakening. And sometimes it comes through a health crisis. Like for me, it was, my eating disorder. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, pharmacy school, we learned, okay, it's genetics, it's trauma, maybe like a trauma or something like that happens that creates disease. But I graduated back in 2012 and I was like, this doesn't make sense. So you start to open and question things, and you are led down this path of, self-discovery and learning from different mentors. And what is that called? It's like the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And it's this awakening that happens that then you wind up learning about health and wellness and all of that. And then you learn about healing. And I think that's really the arc that a lot of us go through. Give me some hearts on here if you can relate to that. That you've
Yes.
gone through something, and yeah, we'll do our chicken dance
That's
again
that that's
to
that's
raise
my
the
Zoom
energy.
that's my Zoom applause.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really, I think such an important part too of integrating, not only your knowledge, your skills, your gifts, but also your story. And I love how you are such a great storyteller, because that's really where people can connect with us. And I encourage, the rest of you as well. And this is something that I work on with my clients, is really dialing into turning your gifts into gold, I call it, or helping you to translate your knowledge into magnetic messaging that speaks to your soul client, or opulent offers, I call them, whatever that is, because you have that story that someone's going to resonate with and go, that's me. I call them hand raiser posts. So I think that, back to kind of, the whole healers in healthcare, it's like we have to go through our own healing, our own self-discovery, to then be that person, maybe that mentor for someone else. And that's what you've done for so many people. And I want to just, again, honor and celebrate everything that you've done. You've been an inspiration to me for years. Oh my gosh, I remember back in, what was it, 2016, I think we had like those accountability calls way back when. And, I think that it shows so much about you with, everything that I know about you and how you've helped so many people and gone through your own journey. And now you're like pivoting and doing the whole like farming and eggs. And, I love that. So just
It
incredible.
really has been a journey, and a lot of it was kind of, I say a journey in unlearning some of the
Yes.
things that I had been conditioned to believe about myself. I mean, oldest daughter, only girl, perfectionist tendencies, overachiever, all of those things. But then at the end of the day, especially when 2020 hit, it was a very traumatic year that I no longer had a plan. I no longer had a clear view of, oh, this is what's next. And
Yeah.
I spent really almost 2 years on that personal healing journey. So now I have more space and more capacity for empathy, for emotional processing, for helping other people process
Yep.
and overcome their stuff. So, it takes time. I always say that healing takes time, that healthcare is a one-off interaction, but healing is a journey. And so
Mm,
healing, especially, looking at like functional medicine, for example, you can identify the root cause, but the action step from that point is still the same. It's still behavioral change. It's still healthy habits. It's still coping mechanisms. It's still nourishing that nervous system. So what I like to focus on with my clients is, what does that next step look like? If you do the initial consult and you find the root cause and you find the thing that can help them, then what does that continued conversation, that continued support look like?
yeah, absolutely. I love what you said about, healing is a journey. And I feel like, kind of back to what you said before about the MTM, it was like, okay, this is a one shot, once a year. And there's not that continuous evolution of following a longitudinal, more comprehensive depth of how is this person doing? How are they progressing? How are they healing? And accounting for those behavioral changes and coaching them through, because we all know, and we've studied this with coaching, there can be resistance, and there can be those protective parts that the person's like, okay, well, it's not safe to do XYZ. And I studied a lot of this with weight loss and emotional eating and all of that. There's a reason why sometimes people don't feel safe to be seen, so they hold on to that weight. I've had clients say that. So there are all of these different things, right? These different components of looking at a person in a more holistic way. And I think that that's so important, and it's not what we learn in pharmacy school. So having these type of conversations is so key, because again, it's empowering the healer in healthcare to go, maybe they hire you, or they go read a book, or they have a different conversation with a colleague, and they're like, hey, I'm interested in this, I want to pursue functional medicine or whatever that is. I think that we need to be having these conversations, because again, it wasn't taught. This is the gap. This is something that is needed in our profession. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think strength of the pharmacist is, you've already got these connections. You've already got this credibility inherently just
Yep.
because you are a pharmacist.
Yep.
There's that trust, that there's that credibility, there's that relationship. It's the follow through piece that patients aren't used to hearing us make that offer for helping them, coaching them through to their health goals. Their health goal may not be getting their A1C under 7, but it may be, being able to walk enough where they can go fishing with their grandkids on the weekend and not worry about passing out or not being able to get back to the vehicle or whatever. Like, so the patient's health goals are very different than the goals that we hold as healthcare professionals. So you mentioned the hero's journey. In that arc, our patient must be the hero. We're like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, like guiding them on their journey, giving them the tools, giving them the information, but also helping them navigate when there may be something showing up for them around unworthiness, or you know maybe, well, if I post this picture of myself that's promoting my new thing, what if so and so thinks that, oh, well, Blair's just too big for her britches and she shouldn't be posting pictures of herself. Oh, that's not a me problem anymore. That's when you can get to that place where you know deeply who you are and the intention behind
Yep.
why you're showing up. Then you become really a force to be reckoned with.
Well, that's what empowerment is, right? So that's what, it's taking your power back, because if I'm worried about what everybody else is thinking, I'm giving my power away.
Right.
So this is the journey of power reclamation of, this is who I am, this is what I offer, and I can still have those fears, but this is how I'm going to navigate and work through it so that I can still show up and shine. And it's, really, we're coaches. I
Yes.
spoke about this on LinkedIn pretty recently, and I said there was a man in our profession who I had talked to years ago, and I was like, "This is the future of pharmacists or coaches." Da, da, da. He's like, "Oh no one's gonna want that." I'm like, I couldn't agree less. I think that we are the point person to be coaching patients, to be following them along their healing journey, and now is our time. So it's about empowerment within ourselves to show up as the leader that is able to then guide that person along their journey, just like you said. So I think that it does really start with us, with that leadership, with that empowerment, and it, going through these different layers and undoing, like you said, everything that we've learned, that we have to stay in this box, that we're not worthy, that we have all these protective parts of people pleasing and perfectionism and all of these other things that can really block you from being present with that person, because you're in fight or flight and you're in the amygdala, you're not in your present moment with that person. So I think there are so many different layers to this conversation, that can sometimes be like, wow, there's a lot. But I think, just, for those of you watching, what is one or two things that you can take away and be like, you know what, I'm going to implement that, or I'm going to take that action, whatever that is for you. And you're going to know that intuitively based upon what we're saying, what we're talking about here. And I want to empower you to trust your gut, to trust that intuition, because you have it innately within you, but it's kind of drowned out by all the fear and the doubt. And but you know what that next action is. So I encourage you, and even write it in the chat. I don't even know where my chat box is here. Sometimes I get lost over here, but I want to hear from you. What is it? Oh, wow. Look at all these. Okay, so thrilled to be here. Priscilla, thank you for tagging everybody. Hi, it's Kim. I admire both of you. Oh, thank you, Kim. Yes, I see Lauren. Cool. And thank you. You all granted eCam live access. I forgot to say that before, so I can see your names. Okay. So if you have questions for Blair, by the way, feel free to just type them in the comments and tag her so that she can come back and answer any of your questions. I apologize. I just realized I didn't have the chat up. But such a great conversation. And like I said, we could talk for hours. And I know we're talking next week on your birthday. So happy early birthday. You're a Pisces, of course.
Yes.
So totally a healer. So tell us a little bit about what is your offer today? Share a little bit about what you're offering our audience.
Yeah, so we're actually enrolling for our private coaching for the spring summer. So this is a cohort in a 10-week group coaching intensive where we actually walk people through the process of having their first discovery call, really doing a market research interview with an ideal client that
Hmm.
you would like to work with so that you can bring it back and then we together work to create a proposal. So I talk about these proposals and the template I use is called ODT proposals. So it's really outlining, it's easy to remember, outlining the objectives of the proposal, the deliverables that are included, and the timelines for which, for how you're going to get there, including the checkpoints along the way. So if your proposal is for a patient who comes to you and they're wanting to, I don't know, lose 40 pounds, your objective would be to work with this patient for however long you think it's going to take to safely lose 40 pounds. So maybe that's a 12-week or 16-week program, but it's going to be an ongoing program. We also give direction on how to price it, how to develop it, how to systematize it so that you know the things that you need before the patient even gets onboarded. And you can begin the process of delegating those things so you can remove yourself as the bottleneck, because that's the thing about being a consultant is if you're not constantly having conversations with new leads, you get into this bottleneck of, oh, I've got too many clients or I've got too few clients. So our program really helps to even out that, that dip. So it's called 10 weeks to 10K. The goal is 10K in monthly revenue through consulting contracts. And we chose that goal really just because many of the professionals in the program are wanting to leave their full-time job.
Yeah.
So the 10K is really our goal. And with our program, we focus on mid-ticket consulting proposals.
Awesome. So it's not orally disintegrating tablet. It means something else.
It does
ODT.
not stand for, but it's easy to remember when I say the ODT proposal. People are like, "Oh yeah, I remember. I remember what I'm supposed to put in my proposal." So it's really this group coaching program that walks you through this process from discovery call to proposal creation to closing the contract and getting your first sale as a consultant.
Wow, that sounds like a really brilliant plan. So you're kind of covering, sales, discovery call, probably some
Yes,
confidence peppered in there too. How do they
absolutely.
confidently show up? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we cover some mindset stuff, especially money mindset,
Yep.
because a lot of times they're like, "Oh, okay, it will take me this many hours to do the program,
Yep.
so I charge, $60 an hour." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. No. We're
Yep.
pricing based on the result that the client is after and the value of your services. So if you're implementing a new service or if you're implementing a lifelong positive change that's going to impact their health, what is that actually worth? And how much could it save them in the long run if they were to lose 40 pounds and reverse their diabetes and reverse their high cholesterol and reverse their hypertension? It would be worth a lot.
Yep.
So it's really about seeing your value and clearly articulating your value from a place of confidence and belief in
Yep.
yourself being able to deliver.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I have something similar. It's called the offer letter or like pleasure led proposal. That's what I call mine. So yeah, it definitely sounds very similar. I love the work that you're doing and I love how you're very systematized with helping them to really, have that tangible result by the end of those 10 weeks. And I know that you just do phenomenal work with your clients. And yes, Priscilla just dropped that link. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely click on that link. Reach out to Blair. She is incredible. She's open. She's loving. And I just really admire the work that you do. And I know that we're going to continue to grow together. So, yeah, thank you so much for being on. Any last minute, anything else you want to share or where people can contact you?
Yeah, I mean, people can contact me anytime. Pharmapreneur Academy is our main page. You can always join our email list. We've got a couple fun live events, live virtual events coming up, including our annual summit. This is the seventh year in a row that we've
Wow.
done our summit. So it's pretty it's pretty surreal to be here. So I'm excited and I'm honored, and you know, I don't take my responsibility and my leadership position lightly. So if there is something that you would like to see changed in pharmacy or in healthcare, I'm always open to connecting and brainstorming with like-minded individuals, especially healers.
Yes, and that's what we're doing next week. So I'm excited for
Absolutely.
that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. We're going to transition here to the next part of the show. And Blair, I'll talk to you next week.
See you then.
Bye. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So if you're staying with me today, I am really excited because well, first of all, I just want to honor Blair. And thank you so much, Blair. If you're still watching with us, feel free to go, post I know she had, Blair, you had an Elevate Summit. So feel free to post that as well in the comments, and definitely go check out Blair Thielemier. She is a dear friend of mine, a fellow healer, and I can't wait to see what else she is up to in 2023. So, okay. Shifting gears, I am so excited to talk about this topic because I'm such a nerd and I love talking about the nervous system. So I was smiling before because Blair, it sounds like Blair is doing similar work with the nervous system and the capacity for which we're able to hold more wealth, more clients. And so what I want to talk about today is actually something that you're probably all familiar with, which is the autonomic nervous system. So the reason why we do this work is because when you do this nervous system work, you're more stable in your energy. You're able to, again, hold more wealth and clients without that overwhelm. So I'm going to go through what this looks like because some of us have these different, I guess, go-to responses is the best way to describe it, that we go to under stress. And when you can learn how to really navigate the nervous system and based upon what that is, how that shows up for you, then you're able to move back into safety. You're able to be more productive. You're more resilient. There are so many benefits to it. So we're going to talk about this autonomic. Can everybody see this? This is called the autonomic ladder. You don't even need to read all the fine print there, but I want to just describe these three different states to you. So essentially, whenever we learned in pharmacy school, the autonomic nervous system, we learned that there's the branch of the sympathetic and then the parasympathetic nervous system. Well, in this polyvagal theory by Dr. Stephen Porges, he found that there are all different blended states, not just sympathetic and parasympathetic. So when we're feeling safe in ourself, when we're feeling connected, we're in something called ventral vagal. So that's at the top of this autonomic ladder where you're feeling connected, there's no threat. You're in what's called the window of tolerance. And so you're feeling, just like I said, safe. There's no threat or danger and everything is good. Whenever something comes into your environment that is a potential danger, then what happens is your body starts to go into this sympathetic tone, which, all of us know. So fight or flight. So say that someone comes to you and they get into an argument with you. You might, get defensive and come back at them and get into that sympathetic, that mobilizing energy, it's called. But some of us don't go there. Some people go right from that safety, that ventral vagal, right down to dorsal vagal, which is shut down. Dorsal vagal is actually part of the parasympathetic nervous system, but it's a state where you essentially go to shut down, avoid procrastination, and you just totally can't. There's no capacity for you to mobilize or go into any type of movement. So a lot of times this is what's happening in your business with a lot of people, that they go to shut down or they procrastinate or avoid. And a lot of the reason why this is happening is because we experience trauma and it's unresolved trauma that is essentially, I want you to think of, your nervous system as a pool. And, part of that trauma, you add in these balls into the pool, right? So that's part of you're filling up the pool with these balls. That's your trauma. Then you have, your kids, and taking care of your kids, you're adding in more of those balls into the pool. Then you have your job. Then you have growing a business. So you have all of these balls that are filling up this pool to where you can't even move because you don't have the nervous system capacity to be able to hold all of what's happening in your life. So if you can relate to that, give me some hearts here. Let me know that this is resonating for you, because this is what's happening at the root of the perfectionism, the people pleasing, the shutdown. Typically, shutdown is part of, you, like I said, you go to avoid, you procrastinate, you wait till the last minute. Because think about it, if you have all of these things going on in your pool, in your nervous system, you can't even move around. You're like, where do I go? So the easiest thing to do is to shut down. So if you know that that is something that your nervous system goes right to shut down, then we can work with the nervous system to help create safety so that you're taking away some of those balls in the pool and you're able to have more capacity to take action in your business. So I'm going to give another example. So this is actually a blended state. It's called freeze. So freeze is different than shutdown. Shutdown, again, is at the bottom of this ladder, where you can't even do anything. Maybe you ghost from a conversation, or you just, fight, flight, freeze, and you can't do anything. Freeze is actually a blended state. It's a mixture of sympathetic and dorsal, where you want to do something, but you can't do it. So a lot of people that I coach, a lot of women that I coach, you go into that freeze response and then you beat yourself up because you're like, why can't I just take action? A lot of what's happening is, and I wrote about this today actually with perfectionism, is again, because you are, maybe you're overthinking, or you're in that indecision, you're going back and forth in your head, then it becomes difficult to actually take that action. Even if you really want that goal or you want to go take that action, it can be really frustrating. So a lot of the work that I do with my clients is helping you to move that energy through the body, whatever that is whatever that is, if it's frustration, if it's anger, whatever those emotions are that needs to be felt. So that way you can start to mobilize that energy to move out of freeze and start taking action in your business. Another way this shows up is procrastination, because eventually what happens is, if you've been a person that waits till the last minute, your body has gotten conditioned to have that adrenaline rush. So if you wait till the very last minute, typically what's happening is your body's gotten so used to those stress chemicals of adrenaline and cortisol that now that's the only thing that can actually mobilize your energy to get you moving, is waiting until the last minute. So your body gets conditioned to respond in these ways, and it's not workable for scaling a profitable business. So we need to be looking at the root cause of this and how to get you back into ventral vagal. So I want to hear it. Is this making sense? Is this resonating for everybody? Because for me, I've been going through this work as well to help really create safety in my body, because the brain sees either safe or not safe. And so a lot of times when you go to scale a business and you're stretching your comfort zone, it's not safe. It's not safe for you to shine. It's not safe for you to be yourself, because you've had trauma that's unresolved that is now preventing you from actually moving forward. 80% of your nerves inform the brain. So it's called neuroception. And the body is informing the brain. So if you go to do mindset work and you're like, I am confident, you're bypassing the body and you're not allowing yourself to create that safety in the body. Because again, if you don't feel safe, you're probably in either sympathetic, freeze, or dorsal vagal. So there is that visceral response that happens that is literally trying to keep you safe, to protect you. Because again, think about the balls in the pool. If there's too much going on and you're completely overwhelmed, think of it like a computer. There's too many windows open. Your body's like, oh, hell no, right? And you shut down. So working with the nervous system through different exercises. And I do this with my clients now, and I'm weaving this all throughout every single program that I do, and also at the Healers in Healthcare conference that's going to be happening on from May 5th to the 7th in Cincinnati, which I'm so excited about. I'm going to share in a minute. This is how you begin to build a sustainable business. So you can have, all of the coaching, all of the business coaching, the action steps. You can have the pathway to $1 million, but if you don't have the ability to work with the nervous system to create that safety in the body, because when you have that feeling of safety, then your thoughts are regulated. But if the amygdala's on, the fight, flight, freeze, then the prefrontal cortex shuts off. And so again, we can't really be present with people in our life, with our patients, with our spouse, with our kids. And oftentimes this is how it shows up. So people pleasing, perfectionism, all of the things, all of the blocks that I talk about, it has a root in a nervous system response, because there is unresolved trauma that's showing up for you to say, hey, let's look at this, because there's a reason why you're not taking action right now. And so it involves this deep compassion for self, because I know I grew up with an Italian dad who was like, just do it, just do it, just do it, right? Well, that's not enough to motivate someone. And your patients are going through this as well. If they're feeling, if they're going through shutdown, or they're having these nervous system responses, we could be giving them medicine and telling them to do mindset work all we want, but it's not really getting to the root cause of that person's stress, or helping them to regulate their nervous system so that they can then have the thoughts of, I am safe, it's okay. So this is the deeper work that I've been doing, and I have seen such a tremendous shift in the way that I'm showing up. And people, like I said, I just posted today, I was like, people keep saying, I love your energy, I love your energy. I'm like, because I'm in ventral vagal, right? Because I'm in ventral vagal. And it's not, the goal is to not be perfect. That's not what this is about. But it's learning how to have flexibility and capacity to say, oh, this is what's happening. Okay, I'm going to become curious. I'm going to become aware of why this is showing up for me, and then have the tools to be able to quickly shift that. And I wanted to just tell a quick story, because I just moved through this as well. I went to go do a CE back in, last weekend, and I started having these weird, like, imposter syndrome, and like, did they pick the right person? And like, is the, like, all of that was going on in my head, the self-doubt. And I talked to my coach, and I'm like, I don't understand why this is happening. I go to sympathetic. My go-to nervous system response under stress is fight. That is what I do. So I go to sympathetic, where I'm like, high anxiety, and, everything feels really urgent, and it's never enough, and all of that. Those are the symptoms of being in that, which I didn't really describe before, but being in sympathetic, those are the types of thoughts that you have. Again, the nervous system informs the brain. So then you start having all of these racing thoughts, and why is this happening, and all of that. Well, it was because my subconscious mind equated the CE with structure. And as a child, whenever I was in a highly controlled environment where I had to do certain things a certain way, and it was a very rigid environment. So my subconscious mind said, "Oh, I don't want to go back to that." And that was what was happening. It wasn't safe. Remember before I said either the brain knows safe or not safe. It was not safe to go into that CE. So now that I'm aware of it, I was able to go within, do some of these nervous system exercises to calm my nervous system. And I want to just be clear that, there are different things that you can do to shift out of each state. So in sympathetic, you want to calm the nervous system. In dorsal, you want to mobilize the energy, right? Because you're in shutdown. So oftentimes I'll have my clients shake out your hands and feet. It's a simple way to start mobilizing the energy. You can get up and switch positions of where you're working. You can go outside. You can change your environment. So there are all of these different ways that you can begin to regulate your nervous system to get back up that ladder, back into ventral vagal. So I say all of that to tell you that, at every next level that you scale your business, these things are going to come up. So this is the foundational work of what is going to help you sustainably scale. And, if you're just looking at strategy, and you're just looking at those practical things, then whenever you go to take action and you have these nervous system responses, it's going to be really frustrating, and it's going to feel like you're moving through mud to get to that goal, to just take that action. I wanted to also talk about, back to the different ways that you're in, dorsal, vagal, or, sympathetic. So sympathetic, it's a lot of that urgency. It's that hyper arousal, anxiety, anger, agitation. Dorsal vagal is more of that shutdown where, you're numbing out, maybe you're overeating or you're drinking, you're avoiding, you just don't want to, you kind of are like in business, the way that shows up too is like, I just want my coach to do the work. Like you're kind of just like hands off. If you're at work, you're kind of just like going through the motions. So I want to just kind of describe a little bit more of those symptoms so you can kind of see where you tend to go. And I would love to hear it in the comments if okay, I go more to sympathetic. I go more to dorsal vagal shutdown. I would be curious to hear what that is for you, because when you start to become aware of your go-to pattern, then you're able to work with your nervous system so that you're able to say, oh, this is what's happening, right? I'm going to be curious about this. I'm going to be curious about the state of what I'm moving through right now, because I know that if I am not regulated, that the thoughts are going to come in. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy, right? So all of this, these are the layers that we move through in helping you to scale sustainably. So just let that, yes, dorsal vagal, yes, yep. So again, don't make yourself wrong. Don't make yourself wrong or shame. It's easy to be like, oh, like I have this issue. I go, everything is urgent. Yes, but always on the gas pedal. Yeah, so dorsal vagal is like the brake, and that freeze is kind of like you have both on the brake, shut down to freeze. Yeah, exactly. So the more that you're aware and then moving through, and I think that is Kim who's saying shut down to freeze, and that's okay, right? It's okay to know that and to move through it. So one quick thing I'm just going to teach you that you can do to bring yourself back to safety is you can just take time, just slowly begin to look around the room and just notice your breath. Just begin to just notice your breath and look around the room as Penny's barking. Okay, relax. Shh. She's excited. That's why she's barking. Oh, Miriam. Okay. So just noticing, taking your time and going around the room and just taking everything in, because when you're in the fight or flight or freeze, your eyes, think about it. If you need to be in survival mode, your eyes are fixated this way versus being able to show your brain, hey, I'm safe. I'm creating safety in the nervous system by looking around the room, noticing, okay, oh, look, there's a pencil. Oh, there's a book. So just noticing, that's one simple technique that you can do to shift from that survival state, go, to, okay, creating safety in the body. So that's one thing that you can do to take away. And this is really, part of what we're going to be moving through at the Healers in Healthcare conference. Because again, to me, it's about sustainability. And scaling a sustainable business requires this nervous system work. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I feel like I finally got to the root of helping you to sustainably scale. And it's layered, obviously, but it starts with the nervous system, laying that energetic foundation, looking at your energy leaks, looking at open loops that you might have, blocks, all of these different things that get in the way of you taking action to, follow up with leads, for you to put your message out there, for you to be able to be present with your client, to follow up, all of these little things that come from a sustainable foundation. So we're going to be literally building this sustainable foundation. We're going to be going through nervous system work. We're going to be learning up. You're going to be learning. I'm going to be teaching about how to monetize your knowledge, to unlock your healing abilities, to really channel and turn your gifts into gold through magnetic messaging, through creating offers. We're going to actually specifically look at a signature offer that you can sell. So I'm going to be taking you from idea to implementation. and we're going to simplify everything. So stripping away all the fluff, the social media algorithms, all that BS, because I know through doing this for 11 years that it's about your energy. The energy that you bring is, I would say, 90 to 95% of your results in your business. So if you elevate your energy, if you're able to really, release these blocks and allow your true essence to shine through, to be able to communicate your brilliance, the strategy is going to be easy, right? So it's allowed to be easier. And that's what that's what I'm going to be teaching you at this Healers in Healthcare conference. So I'm so excited about this because I am bringing together, it's not just going to be me. They're going to be speakers, people on the speaker panel. You're going to be networking with a high quality group of people that will continue to support you for years to come in your business. So there's going to be networking, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be fun, there's going to be learning, really immersing you in this experience, in a 3-day experience with yours truly, to help you to elevate into scaling a profitable, sustainable business. So this is going to be an incredible experience for you to be immersed with other healers in healthcare, with other experts, other speakers who will help you to answer all your questions, who are there walking the path with you. And I'm so excited for it because this is going to be an annual conference. So right now we have a BOGO ticket because I want to impact as many pharmacists, as many healers as possible. And Priscilla's she already dropped it. Look at her. She's so quick. Thank you so much, Priscilla. So right now it's a buy one, get one. I created a ticket for students as well and pharmacy technicians. So if you know of anybody who is a student or a pharmacy technician, they can absolutely come to this conference as well. They're going to get so much out of it. The whole idea is that you're going to leave with not only a solid, actionable plan, but also infinite possibilities on how to monetize your knowledge that you might not have even thought of before. So come to this experience, get immersed in amongst all of these experts. You're going to leave with lifelong friends. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it. And so that's what we're up to. And we're going to do the damn thing. Thank you so much, Priscilla. Awesome. Okay, well, I am going to be keeping an eye on the chat here over the next couple of days. If you have any questions for me, if you have specific questions about the Healers in Healthcare conference and you're like, hey, I have a question. I don't know if this is for me. Can I bring a friend? Whatever your questions are, ask me. I'm here to be of service. I want you there because, again, we need more healers in healthcare right now. And my goal is to empower you so that by the time you leave, you're confident, you're empowered, and you're ready to scale your profitable, sustainable business. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this Healers in Healthcare show. Leave me some comments, give me some love, and I will see you on the next episode. All right, bye.